Fade into board members seated at table. Jim Batson.
Okay, welcome. Call to order the February 23rd, 2026 District 128 Board of Education meeting. We're going to start with the Pledge of Allegiance. So if everyone wants to join me, the flag's that way.
Everyone stands for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Everyone returns to their seats.
Okay, Carol, can we have a roll call, please?
Pause for roll call.
Nina Austin.
Here.
Jim Batson.
Here.
Raul Deshmuth.
Here.
Doug Flegel.
Here.
Middleish Cotwall.
Here.
Give you a minute. Wes Poland.
Here.
Julie Simpson.
Here.
Okay, we'll note that the entire board is here. Thank you for joining us. I'm going to do a quick review of the agenda for tonight. We got quite a few things on the agenda, so I'm going to go through these under our communications. We have of course, our invitation for public comment. We'll have reports from our student school board representatives. Just a couple of items here, FOIA requests. We'll have a superintendent's report. And we'll have a strategic plan update with a guest here to speak about that. We have some discussion items, annual sectioning and staffing process overview. We're going to talk about that process. Title IX audit update. Share the success panel submission. That's a conversation that we'll have. We have a consent vote agenda, items that are routinely approved, typical things every month. And then action items, we have quite a few, 10-month administrator employment contracts. We have vending machine agreement for LHS, auditorium stage 4 replacement for LHS, library carpet replacement for Libertyville. These are all bids that are in anticipation of upcoming work, especially over the summer. HVAC work at LHS, stadium track replacement at Libertyville, graphic arts lab upgrade, HVAC upgrade, FY audited financial report from Dan, and then some informational items, a mid-year financial review, 5-year financial projections, board comments and events. We'll have a few of those. IASB report, we have some things to discuss there. CEDAW report, we have anything from CEDAW tonight? Okay. And then we will be going into executive session after that. So full agenda. Now we go back up to the top here. We have invitation for public comment. And it looks like we have a number of students that are interested in talking. So I will, I'll try to read these off. We'll start with Emily. Emily Ocheng.
Emily Ocheng approaches the podium.
And we do have a 3-minute limit, so you can sort of keep track of where you are by the clock up here. So thank you very much.
Momentary pause.
Good evening, members. My name is Emily Ocheng. I'm a senior at Vernon Hills High School. I'm here tonight with one clear objective: to explain why hiring more staff who reflect the student population is essential for student safety, belonging, and reducing disciplinary disparities. I'll begin with my lived experience. I spend my entire day in this building without seeing myself reflected in classrooms, on the walls, and among the staff. In my 4 years at Vernon Hills High School, I've taken 32 different classes, and I've only had 2 staff of color. Currently, we have 0 certified African American teachers. When students don't see adults who look like them or understand their lived experience, they don't fully feel safe, and they don't fully feel like they belong. Safety is not just about physical security, it's also about emotional. It's knowing that there's at least one adult in the building who understands what it feels like to be a minority student and who you can turn to before a situation escalates. when we look at our own school discipline data, we see a clear pattern. Across nearly every year with data available, students of color are suspended at significantly higher rates than white students. For example, in 2019, students of color were suspended at a rate of nearly 7 times higher than white students. In 2025, the gap grew larger. In the current year, students of color are still being suspended at more than 6 times the rate of white students. This pattern is ongoing. When students are consistently removed from schools at a higher rate, it affects how they feel walking into classrooms. It affects how connected they feel with adults in the building, and it affects whether they believe school is a place where they belong. This is why it matters. That's why it matters. I'm asking the board to recognize that representation is a safety issue. It directly impacts belonging, discipline outcomes, and the overall school climate. If we want a safer, more equitable school, we must invest in hiring and retaining staff who represent and understand the students they serve. Thank you for listening to my story and the data behind it. I hope you will take action so that every student at Vernon Hills High School feels safe, seen, and like they belong. Thank you.
Thank you. Kira Thomas?
Kira Thomas approaches the podium.
Hello, my name is Kira Thomas and I'm a senior. Coming into high school, I was only one of 2 Black incoming freshmen from my middle school. And when I walked into Vernon Hills High School for the first time, I did not feel represented or truly seen. Without educators like Ms. Hall and Mr. Woody, it would have been even harder to find my place. Being a part of 2 interview committees has since shown me that simply having representation is not enough if real change is not happening. We must demand intentional changes to hiring practices if we truly expect to increase the number of Black professional staff. As a student, I have seen firsthand how impactful Black educators can be. Teachers like Mr. Woody have helped me feel engaged, supported, and confident in my ability to succeed academically. His class made learning more meaningful and showed me the power of representation in education. But unfortunately, he is no longer in our district. And overall, he helped me find my sense of belonging overall in the school. I'm also scared for younger generations, like my little cousin, because I want them to walk into high school feeling like they belong. When I came to Vernon Hills, I didn't always feel that sense of belonging. If increasing Black educators is truly priority, there must be accountability through clear goals, such as requiring at least 5% certified African American hires and increasing that percentage incrementally over the next 4 to 6 years. Without explicit targets, progress remains optional, and equity should never be optional. We can't leave here as dreamers and doers when we can't be what we can't see. Thank you.
Thank you. Charlotte Hill?
Charlotte Hill approaches the podium.
Good evening, members of the board and superintendent. My name is Charlotte. I'm a senior here at Vernon Hills, and I'm here today to speak on the critical importance of the diversity and equity coordinator position. Specifically, I'd like to address how this role is not just about policy, it is about the fundamental safety and belonging of every student in our buildings. We often talk about our students as dreamers and doers of tomorrow, but we must ask ourselves, how can our children be dreamers and doers if they don't feel safe? Psychological safety is the bedrock of academic achievement. When a student feels that they don't belong, or when they feel targeted because of who they are, their brains shift from a state of learning to a state of survival. By limiting the diversity and equity coordinator, we're removing the very person tasked with ensuring that our school climate is one of where every student feels secure enough to take risks and excel. Social emotional health isn't extra. It shows up in our hallways, our classrooms, and our lunchrooms every single day. A dedicated coordinator helps staff recognize and address the nuances of school climate that impact this health. They bridge the gap between discipline and safety. Effective discipline should be about restoration and growth, not just exclusion. Without a coordinator to oversee equity and how we handle student behavior, we risk creating a climate of fear rather than a community of support. We need a professional who can ensure that safety isn't just about locked doors, but about the emotional environment inside them. Diversity and equity work is safety work. It is mental health work. It is the work of making sure no student is left to navigate a hostile environment alone. I urge the board to reconsider the elimination of this position. Let's keep the resources in place that allow our students to feel safe, to feel they belong, and to truly thrive. Thank you.
Thank you. Nicole Oching.
Nicole Ochang approaches the podium.
Good evening. My name is Nicole Ching. I'm a sophomore here at Vernon Hills High School. Throughout my educational journey, one of the most challenging experiences I have had to face was navigating school environments where there was little to no racial diversity among the staff, especially during middle school. During those years, I did not have any African American teachers or staff members. In moments where I felt misunderstood, isolated, or unsure of how to address certain situations, especially those involving race or cultural sensitivity, I often struggled to determine who I could trust or turn to for guidance. The absence of representation made it difficult to feel fully seen or understood at times. It left me feeling like parts of my identity had to be minimized in order to fit in. Middle school is a period of personal development. It is when students begin forming a stronger sense of self-confidence and belonging. Without staff members who reflected my background or shared similar life experiences, I often felt alone in navigating challenges that were unique to me. There were situations involving race where I did not feel comfortable speaking of, not because I lacked courage, but because I lacked reassurance that someone would truly understand my perspective. Now that I'm in high school, the experience feels significantly different. Having at least one staff member who looks like me has a powerful impact on my sense of belonging. It reassures me that my presence is valued and my voice matters. Representation has created an environment where I feel more confident in expressing myself and advocating my needs. It has shown me that success and leadership can come from people who share my background and can hold positions of authority, mentorship, and influence. In situations involving race or cultural concerns, I feel most comfortable approaching Mrs. Hall, knowing that she may have similar challenges gives me confidence that she will listen with empathy and understanding. There's a sense of safety in being able to speak openly without feeling judged or dismissed. Her presence alone represents support, guidance, and reassurance that I am not navigating those experiences alone. However, one of my greatest concerns is the possibility that the few Black staff members who have made such a difference may not remain enough to continue supporting students like me. The thought that they might not be here for my senior year or for my younger siblings as they progress through school is unsettling. Their presence is not just personally meaningful, but it's essential for fostering and welcoming, inclusive environment for future students. Without consistent representation, there's a risk that others will experience the same isolation I felt in middle school. Thank you.
Thank you. Is it Gacy? G-A-C-E? Yeah, Gacy.
Grace approaches the podium.
Good evening. My name is Grace, and I'm a junior at Vernon Hills. Today, I'm speaking as someone who really cares about our school and the direction that we're heading. I'm here to advocate for something specific but powerful, that at least 50% of the student voice committee be made up of students of color. Student voice is supposed to be more than just a title. It means real decision-making that influences policies, school climate, curriculum feedback, in hiring, input, and student life. When this committee talks about discipline, academic opportunities, mental health resources, or school culture, those decisions directly affect students of color. If those students aren't properly represented at the table, then the conversations shaping decisions are incomplete. Representation changes what issues are recognized. When students of color experience things like microaggressions or cultural misunderstandings that may affect different groups, if those lived experiences aren't present in discussions, they might not get the attention or urgency that they deserve. Having at least 50% representation means that perspectives aren't occasional comments. They become a part of the foundation of the conversation. This isn't about excluding anybody. This is about balance. It's about making sure student voice actually reflects the amazing diversity and the reality of our school. When students see themselves represented in leadership, it builds trust. It leads to better decisions, it leads to a stronger communication, and it leads to a more united school community. Thank you for listening, and I hope we can move towards a student committee that truly represents all of us, because we can't be what we can't see. Thank you.
Thank you, Grace. Peyton Lewis.
Pause for the public.
Is Peyton here?
Pause for the public.
Okay, moving on, Courtney Wallace.
Courtney Wallace approaches the podium.
Hi, my name is Courtney Wallace, and I'm a freshman here at Vernon Hills High School. Obviously, I'm new here, and I don't have the perspective of the upperclassmen here, but I just wanted to tell you my story because my past experiences in prior schools have been rough. In elementary school, I was the only Black kid in my grade, and there were 0 teachers that looked like me. And in middle school, there was only 1 Black teacher, and I didn't really talk to her because she didn't speak up to us like Miss Hall does, which I really appreciate. So when I first came into the class of the 2029 orientation, I was extremely happy when I saw that there was a BSU stand, and I saw that there was Mr. Woody. And although I felt seen, Mr. Woody is no longer here. Miss Hall is a hardworking and busy dean and is not always available, and I'm feeling less and less seen every day. And the only thing that I asked for is that my sister doesn't come into Vernon Hills High School with nobody for her to talk to. Thank you.
Thank you. Looks like Hannah Arrayas.
Hanan Alreyes approaches the podium.
Good evening. My name is Hanan Alreyes, and I'm a senior here at Vernon Hills High School. I'm a member of our school's equity leadership team and have been since my junior year. I'm also the president of our Muslim Student Association and involved in the executive board of our female empowerment club, Dare to Empower. I'm here to support my fellow peers from BSU in their request for transparency, accountability, and a clear action plan to address racial disproportionality in our district. And I'm also here to offer another perspective on the same prevalent issue, but from the lens of a Muslim student. I've come here to speak to you all tonight during the month of Ramadan, a sacred month for all Muslims. I could have been home breaking my fast with the rest of my family, but instead I decided to raise awareness regarding issues of equity and representation prevalent in our school. My friends from BSU have already shared their concerns on the increased racial disparity in staff in our school, and I believe that racial disparity also extends to ethnic disparity as well. Even before I was a freshman, I knew I wanted to join the Muslim Student Association at the school. My brother was a senior at the time, so I knew it would be easy for me to join MSA right off the bat, since I was already familiar with one of the faces. I remember going to my first meeting and being surprised by how little Muslims were actually involved in the club. Not only that, but our sponsor was not Muslim, but white. I didn't think much of it at the time because no matter how small the group was, it was still a space where I felt like I truly belonged because of all the older members acting as my fellow Muslim support systems. But as the years went by and I started to take the reins and entered the position of the older member, I realized how much harder it got to truly feel comfortable in a space that should have acted like a second home. Having Muslim peers around you to support you is an amazing feeling, but it is a different feeling altogether when you have an adult to support you, to represent you in all aspects of your culture. I am in no way saying that the sponsor we have at the moment is insufficient, quite the opposite. But having an adult sponsor that is centered around equity and providing support is different than having an adult that actually has been through the same experiences, a sponsor that is Muslim like me. This is what my friends from BSU and I want to bring an awareness to. The fact that there is a decline and disparity in not only African American staff, but staff of minority ethnic and racial backgrounds in general. You made a commitment back in 2021, which was Board Policy 712, to ensure equitable hiring practices. So now we are asking you to consider a specific, more attainable commitment to accountability. That you make it a goal to hire and retain a minimum of 5% of certified African American staff within 5 years. And our hope is that this will be one of the first small steps in the right direction. A study tracking North Carolina K through 5 students showed that when students of color worked with teachers of color, their academic performance increased. Likewise, when taught by teachers of color, students of color are found to have fewer absences and lower disciplinary consequences. When students are given the opportunity to connect with teachers they feel represented by, their impact on the school environment will only increase positively. It is necessary that this commitment comes to life so that hiring practices will begin to become more equitable for all races and ethnicities in the future. Thank you.
Thank you. Kimana Harisis.
Kamara Harisis approaches the podium.
Good evening. My name is Kamara Harisis, and I am president of our school's Black Student Union. I stand here tonight not just as a senior, but as a student speaking about realities this board has the authority to change and the responsibility to address. Tonight, you'll hear students speak about hiring practices, representation, equity, safety, belonging, accountability, and student voice. These are not optional initiatives. They are the foundation of whether students succeed. And when these systems are reduced or removed, we have to ask, how can a district claim excellence while stepping away from what students clearly need? When students ask for more Black educators, it was not a preference, it was proof. Representation builds trust, engagement, and achievement. If we know what helps students succeed, why would we weaken it? When we spoke about equity and accountability, it was because support without oversight fails students. If no one is clearly responsible for equity, then who answers when students are overlooked? And if the answer is no one, then that is not progress, that is avoidance. Students cannot learn when they do not feel safe or seen. A school cannot call itself successful if belonging depends on luck instead of leadership. Together, every speaker showed one truth. These supports are not excessive, they are necessary. Removing them does not remove the students' needs. It only removes accountability. You call this district a place that prepares dreamers and doers, but we cannot leave here as dreamers and doers when we cannot be what we do not see. Moving forward requires more than goals. It requires action, transparency, and commitment to every student in this district. Because the decisions you make determines whether students feel supported in their schools or forgotten within them. Thank you.
Thank you. Zaya Collins.
Xia Collins approaches the podium.
Good evening. My name is Xia Collins, and I'm a junior here at Vernon Hills, and I'm also the vice president of BSU. I'm standing here today because I've been looking at the new plan for equity at this school, and honestly, I'm frustrated. We are being told that our equity coordinator is being transitioned into an instructional coach for the staff. That might sound like progress to the administration, but to the students, it feels like we're being pushed out of the conversation. When you remove a dedicated DEI position, you remove the one person whose entire job is to look out for us. If the equity staff is busy coaching teachers behind closed doors, who is walking around the hallways making sure students of color actually feel seen? Because right now, I don't feel seen at Vernon Hills. I have exactly one teacher of color, just one, and the lack of representation does not stop at staff. It's in our curriculum too. I sit in classrooms all day where our history and our voices are treated like an elective or a footnote. That's why losing someone like Mr. Varn is so devastating. He's the most hands-on person we have. He's the one showing up for our affinity groups and actually checking in on us. When we asked how his role would be replaced, the answer we got was, we're still making a plan. Think about that. You planned far enough to know Mr. Varn's position was no longer needed, but you did not plan ahead for who to actually support the students he leaves behind. Right now, there is zero accountability. If everyone is responsible for equity, then no one is. We don't want more meetings or intentions. We want a clear public structure with measurable goals. This is now the second time we've stood before you asking for change in our community. We deserve to be more than an afterthought and an administrative shuffle. Thank you.
Thank you. Ethan Hill.
Ethelyn Hill approaches the podium.
Hello, everyone. My name is Ethelyn Hill, and I am the parent of a graduate as well as 2 seniors here at Vernon Hills High School. When I was a child sitting in a classroom, much like the ones here, I had something that I didn't fully understand the value of at that time. I had Black teachers. I had minority principals. I had counselors and administrators who looked like me, who understood my community, and who carried both high expectations and a deep belief in the students. I didn't realize then that representation would become part of the foundation of my success, but it did. Because when you see someone who shares your background, standing at the front of the room, educated, confident, leading, something shifts inside you. Possibility becomes real. Achievement and success become tangible and attainable and stop feeling abstract. My teachers didn't just teach me math, art, and English. They modeled excellence. They showed me that leadership wasn't reserved for someone else. They demanded discipline. They offered mentorship. They set standards. And because of that foundation, I was able to pursue academic success, earning 4 post-secondary degrees, multiple certifications in my chosen field. I was able to build a professional IT career and eventually become a business owner committed to strengthening my community. Representation did not lower expectations, it raised them. But this isn't just about students of color seeing themselves reflected in authority. Diversity at every level, teachers, administrators, leadership, benefits every student. When students learn from educators of different races, cultures, and lived experiences, they gain more than academic content. They gain perspective. They develop cultural intelligence. They learn to navigate a diverse world with respect, empathy, and confidence. They are better prepared for college campuses, corporate boardrooms, entrepreneurship, and civic leadership. A diverse faculty strengthens critical thinking, it challenges assumptions, and it broadens conversations. It ensures that no single narrative defines excellence. And perhaps most importantly, it communicates a powerful message. Leadership is not limited. Talent is not confined. Excellence comes in every shade, background, and story. Our children are growing up in a global economy and an interconnected society. The classrooms they sit in today should reflect the world they will lead tomorrow. When schools commit to diversity in hiring, development, and leadership, they are not making a symbolic gesture. No, they are making a strategic investment in student achievement, school culture, and in long-term community strength. I stand here as evidence of what that investment can produce. The teachers who poured into me decades ago could not have predicted this moment. But their presence mattered, their visibility mattered, their belief mattered. And today, as a parent and as a business owner, I want every student in this school, regardless of race, background, or circumstance, to benefit from that same richness of leadership. Because when students see diversity modeled at every level, they don't just learn lessons, they learn possibilities. Thank you.
Thank you. Shonda Van Hook.
Pause for the public.
Is Shonda here? Okay.
Shonda Van Hook approaches the podium.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Shonda Van Hook. I'm a resident of Libertyville. I am here in support of these young people who have so courageously stood here and poured out their hearts to share with you their lived experience. Many of them fourth year high school students that will be going on to college. My concern is that their words are falling on deaf ears. And I think that although we may not see the importance of DEI, it is important. It is very important for young people to see themselves, not just amongst themselves, but in leadership positions, so then they can dream to be what they see. It is a reality. I understand, because obviously I'm a Black female and I have achieved the highest levels of education, but I also experienced that myself as a young person. So I can also speak personally. It is important to demonstrate to them that you care about their experiences, that they are feeling isolated, that they are feeling that they don't belong. And having advocates here, it's so important. And teaching the children here in predominantly white school how to have empathy, how to understand others. They're all going to go to college and they're all going to meet people of different diverse backgrounds. That is a muscle that has to be worked, okay? If kids are grown up for 13 years in school and not have interaction with Black kids or any other kids, Hispanic and the other ethnic backgrounds, they don't really know or understand how to engage with them. We all want our kids to be safe. We all want them to learn. We all want them to reach their highest potential. That's what we all want. So I implore you to consider the petitions that are being made today and understand these are lives, these are young people, very impressionable. Biases hurt. Microaggressions hurt. Macroaggressions hurt. And we have all experienced it. When I say that, I say Black people, me. Let's not continue to harm them by not giving them the support that they need to grow, to feel the inclusion, to feel the equity, to reduce the biases. It is very important, and I am very, very concerned about this topic tonight, and that is why I'm here. I have no children in this district, but I pay taxes here and I live here. And I would really like something done about this. Thank you.
Thank you. Deb Brown Bryant.
Deb Brown Bryant approaches the podium.
Good evening. My name is Deb Brown Bryant, and I'm a resident here. I have had 3 children graduate from Vernon Hills High School in 2004, 2008, and 2010. It was an experience. We moved here from Missouri, and we selected Vernon Hills based on primarily the academic record that was there. My husband and I were both engineers, or we are both engineers with backgrounds with higher education backgrounds. And we wanted our children to be in an environment where they could learn, but we also wanted them to feel comfortable and to feel like they belonged. During the time that we were here, my children came home with some very interesting experiences in the classroom, on the bus, walking in the halls, where they were called out, they were mocked, they were made fun of, etc. And at that time, the only people they had to go to was to come home to mom and dad and discuss it, where we would try and discuss what has happened, how that they could respond and make sure that they continued on. They left. They've done quite well. One is an attorney, one is a PhD. But the thing about it is, just because my children are gone, there are others here, as you've heard today, who feel that they are not seen, they are not heard. And I understand that. Even though my last child graduated in 2010, I was also a tennis coach here at Vernon Hills High School for the girls' tennis team. And I actually spent time with the girls and others in the school. And I saw where we needed to have representation on the staff and have some sort of organization that would address the fact that our children were just feeling lost. In 2014, Mrs. Hall and I put together the Black Student Union. And as a result of that, we saw that children were eager for this type of community and that they benefited from it and that it was very good. And I see how it has developed. And it's not just for children of color, it's for all of the children here to understand that our world is diverse. It's not monochromatic, and that we need to understand how to get along with everyone. And we also need to make a safe place for our children of color so that they feel comfortable. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Russell Bryant.
Russell Bryant approaches the podium.
Good evening. My name is Russ Bryant. That was my wife. I could just end this by saying what she said, but it's really bigger than that. And I'm glad I was able to make it here tonight because I think you need to hear it from a male perspective as well. I'm impressed by these young ladies and women that have come up and made very clear what's important. As a Black male, I can tell you, and I'm a little disappointed there aren't more of the young men here to talk to you, but it's extremely important. And I can only tell you from my perspective that if that representation is not there, you won't see it here, but it will appear somewhere where it shouldn't. And all I can say is think very long and hard about the decisions you're making on these things because they do make a difference. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. We appreciate all those comments. Thank you very much, especially to the students who came out and spent their evening with us. So appreciate it. Okay, moving on. We're going to move to the Student School Board representative reports. I'll turn it over to you guys.
Annika Toletti.
Good evening. My name is Annika, and I look forward to sharing the perspectives of one freshman, one sophomore, one junior, and one senior member of Future Medical Professionals of America, of which I am currently president. I asked them to share their experiences with community service, as well as how VHHS can help others in their respective grade levels gain access to more opportunities. A freshman FMPA member provided that right now, they honestly don't participate in as much community service as they would like to, and they wish there were more structured opportunities through clubs or school organizations to volunteer at places like Feed My Starving Children or Bernie's Book Bank, because having those built-in club activities would make it much easier to participate. Sophomore Aditi Bright shared how she's currently not doing any community service projects as well, but something the school could do is host seminars or events that help inform the students about opportunities available. And she feels that many people are not involved in the service because they aren't aware that these opportunities exist because they aren't advertised as frequently as they should be. Junior Eunice Choi stated how she currently volunteers at Condell Hospital Eat Weekly and is also the outreach manager for the KIT Outreach, a student-led nonprofit organization. Sometimes students are interested but don't know where to start or don't meet the requirements for volunteering, so hosting more panel workshops with professionals would also help students explore these different careers. Finally, fellow executive board member Senior Andrea Fua explained how she's volunteered at Advocate Condell Hospital as a nursing unit volunteer and a surgical lounge volunteer, and she thinks VHHS can definitely do more on promoting specific volunteering opportunities and steps on how you can get involved. As someone who wants to go into the medical field, she thinks it would be great if VHHS could actively help in finding shadowing opportunities and maybe partnering with a hospital or clinic to make the process easier. In conclusion, although VHHS provides community service opportunities and other such resources, these events need to be given more visibility to reach more interested students, in addition to a more proactive approach by the district that brings these opportunities directly to students rather than them having to find them. Thank you.
Ashvaramesh.
Good evening. Today I'll be sharing student perspectives on mental health and college preparation at Vernon Hills High School. As decisions are released, seniors have reflected on both outcomes and the path to get here. Across these anonymous accounts, several themes came up around preparation, academic culture, and well-being. One frequently raised point was the need for earlier, more concrete college planning resources. Multiple seniors said they wished there were more college planning guides available to sophomores, especially on extracurriculars and building a cohesive narrative. Others said that the weight of extracurriculars and admissions surprised them when they began applying. As one senior put it, by the time I applied, I realized it wasn't about doing everything. Rather, it was about showing sustained interest. I wish that there had been more emphasis on extracurriculars. Separately, one senior who was admitted to several top choice schools while taking fewer AP courses than many of their peers described the course-taking culture at Vernon Hills High School. There's definitely a culture of taking as many APs as possible, but after a certain point, it doesn't really add much. They also noted the impact on peers' well-being. Some people were really impacting their mental health, trying to maximize everything. Similarly, many Vernon Hills alumni have noted the reality that beyond a certain point, additional AP coursework may have diminishing returns relative to the stress it can create. This problem has remained unchanged despite counselors' efforts to recommend a more balanced schedule to all students. It's possible that creating an alumni video series or annual event featuring recently admitted D128 alumni who can speak about their course loads and well-being could solve this issue. Students also noted interest in more initiatives to limit competitiveness at Vernon Hills High School, such as the alternative grading system at Stevenson High School. A similar suggestion was a mentorship program connecting Vernon Hills alumni with current applicants. One senior said that it would have been helpful to speak with someone who had already been admitted to the school I was applying to, especially for school-specific essays. To conclude, these senior reflections suggest that earlier college planning guidance and continued attention to mental health could further strengthen support for all Vernon Hills students. Thank you.
Olivia Bush.
Hello, good evening, members of the board. Tonight, I'd like to highlight the impact of our AP English language class, AP English literature class, and AP research programs in preparing students for post-secondary success. Both AP English classes reflect the diversity and academic drive of our student body. As senior AP Lit student Megan Bernheim shared, ethnically, both classes are extremely diverse. Academically, the students I work with are extremely high achieving, especially in AP Lit, and are eager to achieve the best grades possible. Instructional support is a major strength, Megan noted. Both my AP Lit and Lang teachers had office hours and encouraged students to meet with them outside of class. Both teachers also consistently provided written feedback. There was never a question of what needed to be fixed or improved. This level of clarity helps students grow as writers. Skill development is intentionally progressive. As Megan explained, AP Lang taught me the basic concepts of writing a well-written essay, whereas AP Lit has focused on enhancing my analytical and thesis skills at a more advanced level. Time in class essays in both courses further build students' ability to think and write effectively under pressure. AP research extends beyond this preparation through formal research methods and mentor support. Personally, as a student in this course, I've had the freedom to design an original project examining how Scientology, yes, that Scientology, has influenced shifts in fashion trends. Through this work and mentorship, I have strengthened my research design, source evaluation, and long-term project management skills. Together, these AP programs are equipping students with the writing, analytical, and independent research skills necessary for college and career readiness. Thank you.
Andy Trobe.
Good evening, everyone. I want to start by thanking Mr. Kelly, Mr. Murphy, and the entire IT department. As you may remember, last board meeting, I raised concerns about our aging Chromebooks, and they followed up with me directly. They met with me, asked thoughtful questions about the issues I was noticing, and students are already seeing improvements in device performance. That same commitment to supporting students extends beyond the classroom. 2 weeks ago, I had the opportunity to attend a performance of Hamlet at the Chicago Shakespeare Theater with LHS's AP English Literature classes. Seeing what we study in the classroom come to life on stage was incredibly meaningful, and it highlighted the value of learning beyond the walls of a classroom. Similarly, for athletes and club members, off-campus events and activities provide opportunities to bond, learn, and try something new. Senior girls flag football player Meg Trobe told me that her team's trip to YMCA Camp Duncan helped the whole program come together regardless of team or grade. More broadly, field trips and other non-classroom-based experiences allow students to A, engage with material in new ways, and B, build a stronger sense of community. Taken together, these experiences are working for students. I've seen firsthand how access to trips to the Chicago Shakespeare Theater and access to team bonding activities have strengthened not just my education, but also the sense of community and belonging I feel at LHS and in District 128. That's what makes these opportunities so valuable, and I appreciate the district's commitment to providing them. Thank you.
Ava Gradator.
Good evening. Today I wanted to talk about something that recently occurred in the Libertyville community, a student-led walkout protesting ICE. On February 18th, many LHS students walked out of school after 5th period and proceeded to meet in the LHS stadium. They then spent their 6th period walking through downtown Libertyville along Milwaukee to protest. Throughout the entire walkout, LHS staff were trailing along, not participating, but making sure students were safe. In the past, we've had walkouts. My freshman year, there was a walkout about gun violence. And I think being able to do walkouts is very important to promoting student voice. Another recent event was that Stage Players, LHS's drama club, went into the city February 12th to see The Outsiders. They took a crew of 17 students to see this fantastic musical. This is not the first time this kind of field trip has happened. Earlier this year, Stage Players went to see a new musical called Revolutions. These kinds of field trips allow students to actually go into the city to see amazing shows and provide opportunities for these students to go see live theater, as they might not have another chance. This is an amazing experience for students. Thank you.
Ruhi Patil.
Good evening, everyone. Last week, we experienced an unexpectedly warm week that noticeably boosted student morale. In typical Chicago fashion, we are back to sub-freezing temperatures, making it increasingly difficult to wake up in the morning and stay focused during the day. Keeping students engaged during the second semester is already a struggle, and fluctuating temperatures only intensify the issue. One of the ways our school can actively support student engagement and motivation is through events like the Winter Dance and Spirit Days. These events provide students with structured opportunities to connect outside of the classroom in a positive and inclusive environment. Especially during colder months when energy can dip, maintaining these traditions plays a critical role in keeping students connected and invested in the Libertyville community. Another form of excitement and involvement for students is the beginning of spring sports. We have 12 sports teams at Libertyville, spring sports teams at Libertyville, and host open gyms and informational meetings from the start of the semester to tryouts at the beginning of March. These programs offer more than competition and team building. They provide structure, accountability, and purpose during a busy and stressful time of year. As academic pressures increase and the weather shifts, sports offer a constructive outlet to manage stress and develop time management skills. While the second semester and winter months can challenge students' energy and focus, our traditions and programs play a vital role in keeping students engaged. Events like Hot Cocoa Fridays, Spirit Days, and athletics provide balance and reinforce the sense of community that defines Libertyville. By continuing to prioritize these opportunities, the board actively supports both student well-being and success. Thank you.
Thank you. It's always a pleasure to hear what's going on in the schools. I appreciate it.
Jim Batson.
Moving on, there's some FOIA requests for the board to review, and then we'll move right into the superintendent's report.
So good evening, Board of Education. This evening we have a number of student recognitions and also some staff recognitions. So we're going to kick this off with our principal of Libertyville High School, Dr. Ray Albin, who is going to talk about some amazing students.
So I want to introduce the Worldwide Youth in Science and Engineering team, the WISE team from Libertyville. which for the first time in our team's history and really in Libertyville history, just won the regional title in that competition. And Pete Dawson and Brandon Murchison are our coaches. And I'm going to invite Brandon Murchison up here to tell us a little bit about what the competition is that our students participated in, as well as our awards.
Brandon Murchison approaches the podium.
Hello. I'm Brandon. I'm the assistant coach for the WISE team here. So just to give you guys a very quick overview of what we do. So we do a couple competitions during the year. The one that I'm talking about here today is the National Science Bowl. For those of you guys that don't know, it's like Mean Girls, like buzz in, answer the questions. The limit does not exist. Exclusively science and math questions. So as Dr. Albin said, we just won the regional competition. It's a bit of a misnomer, though. There's only 2 regional competitions in the state of Illinois, and the winner of each of those 2 competitions has a bid to go to nationals at Washington, D.C. And that's what these guys are going to be doing at the end of April this year. So we're booking flights to D.C., taking them to, I believe, the top 64 teams in the country are going to be competing over a long 4 or 5 day weekend for the national tournament. It's a pretty big deal. These guys are awesome. I seriously cannot understate how talented of a group of seniors that I was able to coach this year. I've known them for 4 years, and to be honest, I don't think I'm going to get another opportunity to coach a group of kids like this again. They are really, really a special, smart, talented, supported group, and I'm really excited to see where this goes. So just giving a quick shout out to no particular order. Actually, it's alphabetical order. Eli Sway, Ariman Hati, Eddie Lee, Shub Varshini, and Ian Lee, who is unfortunately sick tonight, not able to make it. Huge round of applause to these guys. They are seriously awesome.
Students receive certificates and takes pictures with school board members for about the next 30 seconds. Mark Schaefer.
So next we're moving on to the Daring Champion Awards. At last month's board meeting, we recognized the first recipients of the D128 Daring Champion Award. This monthly recognition celebrates 1 certified staff member, 1 support staff member, and 1 community member or organization who exemplified the district's daring mission. Nominations are submitted by the District 128 staff. Nominees must demonstrate elements of our daring mission, which are D, dreamers and doers, A, aware, R, resilient and healthy, I, inquisitive, N, nimble, and G, global. A selection committee of staff members reviews and evaluates nominees, and tonight we are excited to recognize our February honorees. At the conclusion of the awards, we will take a group photo. So tonight's first honoree in the educational support professional category is Kelly Higgison, presented by her nominator, Erin Murphy.
Erin Murphy and Kelly Higgison approach the podium.
I thought you might leave the timer going for me. I could use it with talking about Kelly, but I'm just kidding. Okay, congrats to Kelly. Kelly Higgison supports the dreams and required tasks of our students through the college application process with enthusiasm and care. She remains aware and vigilant of student needs and energies as they visit the LHS CRC each day with questions, possible stressors, and even personal news updates. She models resilient and healthy living through her own shared experience to and through college and with her current journey to become a certified teacher. Not to mention her dedicated role as JV dance coach, where she coaches but also mentors her student athletes. They adore her. Kelly is never afraid to ask questions, and her curiosity and inquisitive nature related to our work in the CRC have allowed her to grow quickly in her knowledge around college admissions and the requirements of the job, and also allow her to do and be her best in the role. She adapts to change, new programming, or urgent student needs with grace, calm, and a willingness to just make things work. Kelly is the organizer of our annual scholarships breakfast, which is a huge undertaking, and she organized a perfect event in her first year in the role, while also advocating for adjustments to future programs that just make sense and while supporting community scholarship program goals. She's done this work thanks to her natural attention to detail, helpful nature, and a reflective mindset that's tidied event processes for years to come. Kelly also supervises our centralized student space in the CRC. She's a huge reason that CRC traffic has increased during her tenure here. The first quarter of this year alone, the CRC had almost 2,500 students sign in, which is double the traffic we hosted last year. We make a conscious effort to maintain a welcoming and helpful space in the College Resource Center, and Kelly is the amazing frontline of that welcoming and safe vibe. I appreciate Kelly's attention to the work that takes place in our office. I admire her enthusiasm for all things LHS, and I'm deeply grateful to have crossed paths with her in this season of our careers. Thank you, Kelly, for all you do.
The board takes photos for about the next 30 seconds.
Wendy.
Mark Schaefer.
So our next honoree in the certified staff category is Wendy Meister-Loria, and Wendy was nominated by Monica Caldecott, who was unable to attend tonight's meeting. So I have the pleasure of introducing Wendy. Wendy Meister-Loria should be recognized as a daring champion because she is the whole package. She is herself an example of just the kind of daring person our district thrives on, and she creates learning experiences for her students so they too can realize the aspirations of daring. Her creativity, kindness, and genuine outlook on life make her a most valued colleague and friend. Wendy leads her English learner students in a daring manner. She upholds high expectations for their achievements, and they rise to meet what she shows them they can accomplish. She asks them to research, to think about quality information sources, and to share their learning with authentic audiences. She leads her students to be aware of social issues such as police brutality, and she champions global issues such as child marriage and other United Nations global goals. Wendy is also nimble in taking on a new role as union building representative. Wendy, congratulations. Very proud of you. Well deserved. And then our February honoree in the community category is Pat Grudy, who was unable to attend tonight's meeting. So Pat will be recognized along with our next group of honorees in March. So we congratulate our February honorees and thank you all that you do for our students and staff at Libertyville High School and Vernon Hills High School. And now we'd love a group photo with you guys.
The board takes photos for about the next 30 seconds. Mark Schaefer.
Okay, still going. Now I'm in a different microphone, and it's time for the good news report. The following District 128 students were named National Merit Finalists. From Vernon Hills High School, we have Anjali Uran, Stephen Chan, Jaden Chua, Michael Dang, Drew Lancioni, Kavya Rumesh, Ivu Zhang, and from Libertyville High School, we have Claire Wiedek, Abigail Neff, Finley Weinstein, John Joyce, Andy Trobe, Lane Lynn, Sharitea Patel, Eli Sway, and Timothy Cornea, and Ian Lee. To achieve finalist status, students must advance from the semifinalist level by submitting a rigorous application, maintaining outstanding academic records, earning high SAT scores, and receiving a recommendation from their school. Fewer than 1% of United States high school seniors attain this elite distinction. So we congratulate our National Merit finalists. Vernon Hills, we can clap, absolutely. It's a huge honor, we're really proud. Vernon Hills High School junior Vedahi Matkar has been named a National Honorable Mention recipient in the 2026 National Center for Women in Information Technology Aspirations in Computing High School Award competition. The award honors students from across the United States and territories who demonstrate exceptional talent, leadership, and passion in computing. The 2026 Special Olympics Illinois Winter Games were held earlier this month in Galena. District 128 Special Olympians competed in snowshoeing and won the following. Eddie Beecher took 4th in the 100-meter and silver in the 50-meter. Abby Nowacki took 4th in the 400-meter and gold in the 200-meter. At last month's board meeting, representatives from the District 128 Foundation for Learning presented information about the Foundation's annual 128 Giving campaign. We are pleased to report that the foundation exceeded its goal and raised $12,801. The funds will help the foundation continue its work to support scholarships, innovation grants, and students in need. Thank you to everyone who generously supported the campaign. That completes my report.
Jim Batson.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, lots of good news. Next on the agenda is a strategic plan update.
Mark Schaefer.
So we're inviting up Dr. Joe Porto, and Dr. Porto is has been selected from JMP Consulting to begin our process on our strategic plan exploration, which will be commencing later in March and continuing through the end of the school year. So we've invited Dr. Porto to speak to the board as well as speak to the community about this process. So Dr. Porto, welcome.
Great. Good evening. First of all, thanks for bringing me on to come and facilitate your strategic plan. I feel so at home in this district. You might remember me. I led the team that did the superintendent search that brought Dr. Schaefer here. And a few years back, I was an interim superintendent in Hawthorne 73, where I got to know Julie and Wes in a different role when they were board members in that district. So I feel very at home here. It's a very special district, and I'm excited to facilitate your strategic plan. That's a little bit about me for those of you who don't know me. The most important bullet on that slide is that I've facilitated about 45 of these processes. I've been doing this since the early 1990s, actually, and it's been fun. Before I get into talking about what the strategic planning process will be, I want to make clear what it will not be. There is a difference. Whoops.
Pause for slide change.
There is a difference, though it's subtle, between what a portrait of a graduate is and what a strategic plan is. You have had a nationally renowned portrait of a graduate for quite some time. It's been part of your identity for a long time. It gets recognition. It gets used when districts are looking at how to do this. So you should be really proud of that. Portrait of a graduate is a very long-term kind of process. It's looking way down the road, and it identifies exactly the characteristics, traits, attributes that you want your students to have when they leave here. It's very important, and wanted to tell you from the get-go that we're not messing with it, okay? If you want to mess with your portrait of a graduate because you've had it for a while and you want to look at it again, that can be another process. But we want to set it to the side and use it as a guide rather than pick it apart. What we're going to be doing instead is a strategic plan. The focus of a strategic plan is how the portrait and the mission is going to be achieved. and the goals, steps, and action plans needed. It's really, strategic plan is really less long-term. We're going to be talking about the next 3 years. And the best way to describe it would be that it is going to be a blueprint for improvement. It's a 3-year district improvement plan, how to keep the great things you're doing great and how to move some other areas up to the forefront. So that's how we're going to go about this. For those of you who are wondering, we're going to pull those two things apart and we're going to focus on the strategic plan. I'm going to move quickly. You've got a really big agenda, so I'm going to be really respectful of your time. Over the years, I went from traditional strategic plan where I was trained to a new model that I developed myself. The old strategic planning models were cumbersome and they relied a great deal on endless wordsmithing until you had everything specific. Sometimes you spent so much time on the mission and beliefs that you never even got to the goals and the accountability. Several years ago, I came across a book that transformed my whole career. And it's those of you in both education and business might be aware of Jim Collins' work, Good to Great. While it's getting a little older now, Jim Collins comes back every couple of years, writes a new book that just reinforces all of his tenets. So he's still very much a force in both business and education. I thought it would be a great idea to merge Jim Collins' work, Good to Great, with a strategic plan so that at the end of the 3 years, you can see your district move from good to great, or if you'd rather think of it as great to greater, you can really take it through those steps and get there together. So good to great is based, good to great is based on some tenets of that Jim Collins puts in there. We'll take a look at those and use those as a guide to our steps. So here's the main steps of the process. Quite a bit gets done before we get started. So, and your administrators and assistants, everybody has been so great about getting geared up for this. So in the pre-planning stages, we're going to conduct a survey so we can get some really fresh data on what we call the current reality. We want to know the current reality. That's all the positives and all the things that need to be improved. We want to get a clear idea before we go into this. So the district has put together a wonderful survey. I think it's coming out soon if it's not already out, and we'll have that fresh data as we go into this. The other thing we're going to do is on March 31st, I'm going to come in the district with a colleague, and we're going to try to talk to as many people as we can. Principals, ad team, the cabinet, parents, parent leaders. Hope we get to spend a lot of time with students. I'm so impressed with the students I heard tonight. We'll run a couple of meetings in the evening so that parents can come out and share. And what I'm going to do is ask them some questions about what's working, what's not working. What would you like to see done in the next 3 years? So we're going to walk into the first planning meeting with data from the survey and data directly from your stakeholders. Very powerful. We're going to have a representative committee that the district is going to form. I've asked Mark to try to keep it between the range of 35 to 40 people. That works pretty well. You're going to want to have your whole board, most of your administrators if you can, a really good segment of your teachers, your support staff so that they're represented. And we'd like at least 5 or 6 students to be on that committee as well. And then it's always nice to have non-parent community members. Because that's 70% of your voting population, and you want to make sure they're represented too. So this group is going to get together, and this model is lean and mean. We have 4 meetings. We get it done. 4 meetings. We'll start I think they're going to be on Thursdays in April. And we're going to go each week, 1 week every Thursday, and we'll be done in 4 weeks. Sometimes older models of strategic planning drag on forever and they lose their steam. So what are we going to do during those 4 weeks? Well, the first meeting will review the basic tenets of good to great, so we're all speaking the same language. Then I'm going to show you some really powerful new generation mission statements and belief statements, not those old, remember those old lame ones that always had something about global society in the 21st century. You know, these are going to be, again, lean and mean, maybe 8 to 10 words, powerful. And the beliefs, those aren't goals. Your beliefs are your core values, what drive your decision making. When this board gets presented with a problem, where do you go back and get your belief statements that you're going to make your decision on? We'll go through those together. We'll work together in consensus. We like to work in small groups. So when we meet, the 30 people will be in probably 6 groups of 6. And we work from small group consensus to big group, small group to big group. And we work until everybody can live with the product that we come up with. In the second meeting, we do the current reality analysis. That's when we take all that good info that we saw in the survey and in the sessions, and we're going to analyze that and lay it out and find themes and common consistencies. The third meeting, we roll up our sleeves and we start writing goals. Concrete, I'm told this is the best feedback I get from my clients. The way you do it, Joe, we really got the goals done. This wasn't something we just put on the shelf and dusted off 3 years later. And then the final piece, the final day, is something that many strategic plans don't have, and that's an accountability segment. Sometimes strategic plans get judged as to whether you did all the goals. Well, you could do 3 years of goals and not move 1 inch from good to great. So you've got to be able to define what greatness is and find ways to measure it. So that's basically how the process will go. In your packet, I'm not going to take any time here at the meeting, but take a look at an example product that I put in there. It's your neighbors, District 117. They invited me back 3 times, so I feel very at home in their district as well. But they have a really cool mission statement. It's the shortest and most powerful of all my clients. Ignite passion and discovery in every student. It's pretty cool. Then you can see there's 6 beliefs. Those are the 6 values that are non-negotiable to that board and that community. And when they get stuck on a decision, they go back and look at these. I don't expect you to read this, but this is how the goals will look. Across the left side are the themes, and they're usually pretty typical: teaching and learning, student life, student ones, something from the affective domain, finance and facilities, community outreach, and then 3 years across the top. I only do 3 years because if you try to do more, you're going to go back redoing it anyway. So you do 3 years, and that is a doable. And then finally, I'll give you an example of these are the greatness indicators that District 117 chose. So when their superintendent comes back to report to the board, how did we do? Instead of saying, well, we did 16 goals, he's able to pull out these 6, 7 indicators of greatness and the data that shows how you moved. So I'm really excited about the model. I think you will be too. I'm excited to come to the district on March 31st with my partner and get a chance to meet everybody. And for the 31st is the day in the district. The meetings are April 16th, 23rd, 30th, and then we wrap up on May 7th. And The rest, you can see how we kind of divide up the sessions each time. Did you have any questions or concerns about this model and about this process?
Julie Simpson.
Anybody? Go ahead.
I have a comment.
Sure.
Just that, I'm really excited. I think that this opportunity can be used as a really good trust builder with all our stakeholders, something that has kind of maybe been lost a little bit. So having been involved at this on a different government level, here we have, basically student-centered focus. So we're all like really striving for the same thing. So I'm pretty excited.
Yeah. And it's going to be, Julie, a vehicle to address things like you heard tonight. I mean, those are some very powerful voices you heard. A strategic plan is just a beautiful way to together reach a consensus and move forward. That's just one example.
Jim Batson.
I just wanted to make a couple comments. Dr. Schaefer and I had talked a number of times about the concept of bringing a strategic plan to the forefront here at District 128. I think it's an ideal time, a perfect time for us to do this. We've had significant change in our board makeup. We've had change in administration and leadership. And I think it's a good opportunity for us now to take a fresh look at the direction the district goes. And as you mentioned, not to break things that don't need fixing, but to look at those areas where we can improve. When Dr. Schaefer brought your name, Dr. Porto, up for a possible recommendation, I couldn't have been more thrilled. I've witnessed Dr. Porto going through this process, both actively and from a distance in a number of districts. Worked on several of these with him in the past at a different district, and I think it's a great process. It's a very succinct process, and I especially like the greatness indicators. You come out of this with not only a direction, but how we can measure if we're all headed in that same direction. So I think it's a great opportunity, and I look forward to working with you.
Thanks, Jim.
And
Very
with
kind.
the rest. Yeah, thank you. Anybody else? Okay, thank you for coming out. Okay, we have a number of discussion items, and so we'll start with the annual sectioning and staffing process overview.
Yes, we've attached the annual sectioning staffing process overview document to the agenda, and we will be bringing the certified staffing to the March board meeting.
Okay. Any questions or comments from the board? Okay. We have a Title IX audit update.
Yes, also attached a Title IX audit action plan update to the agenda since we last presented that at the October 14th meeting. So there is an update for you.
Okay. Any questions or comments from the board?
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Wes, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Wes. Oh, okay. So
Wes Poland.
when we're talking about the Title IX compliance, it's difficult for me to trust this without seeing the actual documentation. So is it possible to receive the supporting documents
Yes,
that
I could share
go
those
along
with you.
this? Because we should be able to review the evidence that supports these conclusions. I think these materials are necessary for independent verification. And, I'm not trying to be adversarial here, but this is just basic oversight, and it's what we do for board governance. And it not only protects the students, but it protects the district and the board. So I would appreciate being able to see the supporting documents.
Yes, we can do that.
Rahul Deshmukh.
Rahul?
Yeah, again, I think Wes brought a good point, but at the same time, I do believe that the attorney was here to kind of provide us an overview of their findings, and overall, basically we are in compliance with majority of the things. But again, it's always a good idea to look at what else is missing. The only question actually I had was a comment was in our last report, we had talked about some of the things that would be expected for the different booster clubs to do. And again, we agreed collectively as a group that VHS can continue with their central one booster club and LHS can have multiple, and there was no disagreement on that. My question was, we had outlined certain things, submitting of financial documents, whatever December 31, May or June date, and whatever dates they were. I trying to remember what they were. And then once they were received, what are we going to do with that information? So for example, in this recent update, we have only 2 booster clubs. I personally don't know how many booster clubs exist at LHS, but 2 have submitted, rest have not. So how do we go about addressing any of those gaps to collect information, and then based on that information, whatever discussions we need to have as a district, as a board, how do we go about that?
So there were 2 fall booster clubs that at LHS, the boys soccer and the tackle football. So those are the only 2 that were due after the December. And then at winter time, after April 30th, we'll collect the winter ones.
Okay.
So they'll come in 3 depending on their seasons.
Okay. So again, I think that might be a worthwhile clarifying, because my thought was, I think there are more than 2 booster clubs, and should everyone be submitting that? So maybe that's a simple clarification. But I think at the end of the day, once we have that information, it would be useful to know what we are going to do with that information once it's submitted, and how we can understand the endpoints coming out of those submissions.
Thank you.
West Poland.
Yeah, I think that goes back to the supporting documents. And then, if there was a chart where we knew when these booster clubs would be, required to report from accountability standpoint, that would be helpful.
Jim Batson.
Anybody else? Okay, thank you. No, insightful questions. Thank you. Moving on, item 4C here is State of the Success Panel submission.
Mark Schaefer.
So each year, the IASB, or the Illinois Association of School Boards, hosts their Triple I conference in downtown Chicago. And each year, school boards have an opportunity, or school districts have an opportunity to make a presentation at the conference. This year's theme is Share the Success. Share the Success. And the board has asked for this topic to be brought forward for discussion. And so I'm bringing this topic forward for discussion. And that's my...
I can just comment. So I just thought when I saw those emails coming by that maybe this might be worthwhile. Obviously, our board composition has changed. We have a new administration. So my thought process was, these are opportunities for us to highlight our district at state level, because this is I believe is a state level type of a meeting, right? So there could be opportunities here. I personally don't know as a new board member what exactly it entails. So again, insights on how we can leverage this platform, and if we can contribute anything to it, was the discussion I wanted to bring forward.
Yeah, I think this particular one is it's a sort of a panel. So you have 4 people that have been involved with your district, primarily, maybe an administrator, a board member or 2, and really talking about something that had been successful in the recent past. I think our story here is how we came from a place that was not so great, and move forward, being able to make adjustments to leadership, being able to weather pretty much an entire new board, except for myself, over the last several years, and really come out with a continued success within the district. And I think there's a lot of districts that could learn from what we went through and the struggles we went through, and how we came through that, and how we made decisions to right the ship, if you will, So I think this is just something that Mark and I had discussed along the way, and I thought, wow, we have a good story to tell that maybe somebody can learn from.
So basically, Jim, you're just suggesting that you have a story to tell
Yeah.
at the panels. Since you're a senior member and who has a better understanding of the backgrounds of what happened over the few years. Yeah, maybe. And
So I think our story is still in progress.
Oh, absolutely.
I think we probably need to go at this a little bit longer before we share something as a success and pat ourselves on the back. It's in flux. It's new. We are still making steps. I think we need to give ourselves time before like going out and saying, wow, this is such a resounding success and here's the steps that we've taken. I think we need to measure ourselves for a little bit longer. I think it's too early to declare victory. There's a lot more that we need to do and we are doing it. We're going in that direction. I think we need to get there before we start and tell the world that we got there already.
Yeah, I agree with, and it's really good when you're doing things to have a bunch of receipts, and we don't have them yet because we haven't gotten there yet. I think the decisions that are being made and going forward, I think that we are on that path, and I think that maybe in a year or two, we would be more, in a position to do that, especially we're saying, with one senior board member, we have a whole bunch of new people. I just think the script is still being written and we should definitely wait till we have a plethora of successes to share.
I agree. I think there's a risk that a success story presentation could come across as self-congratulatory or disconnected from what some of our students and families are experiencing right now. And, in order to define success, we need to measure it. We need to have outcomes. And I don't know what specific outcomes have improved in the past, 24 months. Yes, we have a great new superintendent, but again, we don't have any measurable outcomes yet.
And a great new board.
Nina Austin.
I think it would be a good idea to kind of amongst ourselves decide on, okay, these are define what success is, and then put that plan into effect. And then down the road, when we feel we've reached 3-4 goals, whatever we've come up with, and then at that point, maybe.
Yeah. I guess my lens was not only, we're talking November, so we're talking another 9 months out. So to wait again, yes, we'll have lots more data, lots more information, and maybe we would want to do it and we wouldn't want to do it. But the lens that I had, and it's certainly okay to wait. I'm not trying to push anything, but the idea of the changes that the district have gone through just in the last few years, I think I look at this conference as a way for other board members to learn from those that have been through something and learn from their, quite frankly, failures and successes, and to be able to help other people understand how we got through this and how we got to a place where we're moving forward and we're making good decisions and we're doing good things and we're creating a strategic plan, although by that time the plan will already be in place.
Yeah.
That was my only logic, and I certainly understand if there's some hesitation, but that was my logic, is looking at it as a board member maybe in another district that could learn from us.
The problem
I
is we
think
have
we
to
are on a
submit a
good
proposal
journey.
in March.
Well,
So
yeah, well, and
Julie Simpson.
I mean, strategic planning, is something that everybody does. Like just the fact that we're doing it doesn't measure any sort of success because we
No,
haven't
and
started.
that wasn't I'm just thinking of, looking back 2 years and looking
I
at
think,
it.
Jim, we are just at the start of a journey. We've not arrived.
That's
yet.
fine. That's
So
fine.
I think let's continue on the good journey, show the path. We have something to show, and then we arrive.
That's fine.
It's good to say.
And I think that's a reasonable consensus, and this is the reason why I wanted to bring it up to the board.
that's
That maybe this is not the right time. We can just wait a little longer. Next year, the same thing will come up, and hopefully we'll have something more to show. So
Rahul Deshmukh.
And I think one more thing, just Nina made a good point about maybe this is a good time for, now that the board is settled and our superintendent is settled, to think about what are the goals and successes that the board want to define, it's independent of the strategic plan, so that we can collectively work towards those as well.
Wes Poland.
Well, I think our goals should be aligned with the strategic plan.
Yeah, I mean,
so
they will feed into each other.
Okay. All right. No, that sounds great. Moving on, we're at the consent vote agenda. Anyone have any items on here that they wish to pull out and consider separately? Nope. Okay. Can we have a motion to approve the consent vote agenda?
Poland so moved.
Deshmukh second.
Okay. Any questions, comments from the board? Okay. Roll call, please, Carol.
Austin.
Aye.
Batson.
Aye.
Deshmukh.
Aye.
Legal.
Aye.
Cotwall.
Aye.
Poland.
Aye.
Simpson.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes. We have for action items, the first one up is a 10-month administrator employment contracts for the 26-27 school year. These are the 10-month folks that are due for a contract renewal only.
Poland so moved.
Second.
Okay, any comments, questions? It's all there in your packet. Okay, roll call, please.
Batson.
Aye.
Deshmukh.
Aye.
Legal.
Aye.
Cotwall.
Aye.
Poland.
Aye.
Simpson.
Aye.
Austin.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes. Next up is the LHS vending agreement. Illinois law requires us to approve any contracts intended to generate more than $1,000. So we have to approve this contract. So I need a motion to approve the LHS vending agreement with KRS Vending Inc.
Kotwal so moved.
Poland second.
Okay, any questions or comments?
Wes
I
Poland.
do have a question. I know that we did the vending contract, was it last year for Vernon Hills High School? Is that correct? Did we?
You mean the
Um,
vending or beverage?
beverage. Okay. Are we ever going to consider possibly trying to get both schools on the same contract term dates, so for possible greater leverage with negotiating?
Dan Stanley.
For what?
Just the vending, just anything, just getting, a more systematic approach to our contracts.
We have a district contract for beverage agreement. It's with Pepsi, and that covers both schools.
Okay.
So that took us several years to line it up so that we have that. So we have that now. Vending is
Momentary pause.
Significantly smaller in terms of that, and that's money that really just goes into an activity account for the buildings to manage.
Okay.
So I don't think there's a significant amount of funds associated with this. So it's something we could look at, but the vending is usually very small businesses that are usually localized. So it's something we could look at. I don't know that putting those two together would have something meaningfully different than what we have now.
Jim Batson.
Any other questions? Okay. Roll call, please.
Deshmukh.
Aye.
Flegel.
Aye.
Cotwall.
Aye.
Poland.
Aye.
Simpson.
Aye.
Austin.
Aye.
Batson.
Aye. Okay, motion passes. Next up is the LHS auditorium stage floor replacement. We need a motion to approve the proposal to replace the LHS auditorium stage floor by Stalker Sports floors for $399. Sorry.
Poland so moved.
Deshmukh second.
Any questions or comments? Okay, roll call, please.
Legal.
Aye.
Cotwall.
Aye.
Poland.
Aye.
Simpson.
Aye.
Austin.
Aye.
Batson.
Aye.
Deshmukh.
Aye.
Just to clarify, that was $119,339, which is what I said the first time, but incorrectly corrected myself, if that's possible. Next up, LHS library carpet replacement. Need a motion to approve the proposal to replace the LHS library carpet with Shaw Industries, Inc. for $79,781.52.
Poland, so moved.
Deshmukh second.
Okay. Any questions or comments on this one?
Just a curiosity question. Is this coming primarily through Shaw Carpets themselves, or it's a sub vendor or something?
Mark Koopman.
No, it is through Shaw Carpets.
Okay.
Yes.
Are they reputable? That's all. Just curious.
It's actually the division of Shaw Carpets is Pat Craft, but the contract is Pat Craft's the manufacturer, one of their manufacturers. Yes.
We've used Shaw a lot
Yeah,
in the past.
I understand that. They are very reputable according to me at least. So I just wanted curiosity.
Okay. Any other questions? Roll call, please.
Atwell,
Aye.
Poland,
Aye.
Simpson,
Aye.
Austin,
Aye.
Batson.
Aye.
Deschmok.
Aye.
Fliegel.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes. Next up is need a motion to approve the LHS HVAC replacements and, wait a minute, am I in the right place? Yeah. And chiller plant upgrades with Train for the amount of $316,238.
Deshmukh so moved.
Poland, second.
Okay, any questions?
Yeah, I have a question. What is the current age of, or the age of the current track that's in place?
Rahul Deshmukh.
This is the chiller one before that. That's the next one.
Yeah, we're on the HVAC.
HVAC system.
Sorry, my apologies.
Hold that thought. Any other questions on this 6E? Okay, roll call, please.
Poland,
Aye.
Simpson,
Aye.
Austin,
Aye.
Batson,
Aye.
Deschmok,
Aye.
Fliegel,
Aye.
Atwell.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes. Now on to the LHS stadium track replacement. Can we have a motion to approve the LHS stadium track replacement with Midwest Track Builders for $255,657?
Kotwal so moved.
Poland, second.
Okay, Doug, you have a question?
Now my question. Got ahead of myself.
Good question. In the list of the capital projects, there's a column that has the information about when that was last replaced, and so 2004 was when the last LHS track was put in.
Thank you.
That's had quite a life. That's a
Julie Simpson.
okay.
So
Any
I have
other
a-
questions?
I have a question.
Mhm.
In terms of like innovation, is there anything new out there for these tracks? I mean, any sort of grants, anything? No.
When you say innovation, are you asking about the technology of the track or
Yeah, I'm
how to
asking
pay
two
for
different
it?
things. Both.
Both?
Yeah.
I don't know, Mark.
Mark Koopman.
I mean, there's a couple different types of tracks. There's a collegiate track, and then there's a standard track. We're like a medium range in this track. I mean, technology has improved over the years. The track that we had did last, normally they're about 15 years. We did get 20 plus years by maintaining it and cleaning it and doing that. So, I don't think that really answers your question. I don't know of any broad technology, increases, in the market for putting tracks in.
I mean, I know it's like typically a little bit, but it's nice to see like a more local company rather than somebody from far away.
Actually, this company is local.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's nice to see.
I personally worked with them in the past. They did the tracks in District 113. They've also done Stevenson track. So they have done a lot of work locally, and they do work nationwide also.
Dan Stanley.
Then for the answer in terms of paying for it, no, but if anyone knows, someone that would pay for our track, I'd really love to meet them.
Sometimes there's like cleaner ways to do things that they have grants for.
There might be. I'm not aware of any for this particular situation.
So
Jim Batson.
Okay. Any other questions? Roll call, please, Carol.
Simpson.
Aye.
Austin.
Aye.
Batson.
Aye.
Deschmok.
Aye.
Fliegel.
Aye.
Cotwall.
Aye.
Poland.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes. Next on the agenda, 6G, a motion to approve the LHS Graphics Lab HVAC upgrade with Train for $238,920.
Poland so moved.
Kotwal second.
Okay, any questions or comments?
Again, a clarification. So I would imagine this might be a slightly newer system, graphics and stuff, probably. And the question is, if it's new, like what is the life of this system, if that's the case?
The room is not new. We've had a graphics room for quite a while. The system will be new. And what's the estimated life for the system?
Estimated life in a system, this will be a rooftop system. So the estimated life is 15 to 20 years.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and these are coming now, even though they're likely summer work, but in order to get things in the process because of lead times for equipment and things like that, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. Okay. Other questions about the graphics HVAC? Okay, roll call, please, Carol.
Austin.
Aye.
Batson.
Aye.
Deschmok.
Aye.
Fliegel.
Aye.
Cotwall.
Aye.
Poland.
Aye.
Simpson.
Aye.
Did I say aye?
Did I get you? Batson.
Aye. I don't remember. These go by so fast. Okay. Motion passes. Next on the agenda, 6H, the FY25 audited financial reports.
Dan Stanley.
Yeah, so we have our very long audited financial reports that are included there. We also usually in the past have had our auditor come and just kind of talk about it a little bit too, but unfortunately she could not come tonight there. But we have all the information from the audit and the various letters and stuff like that. So it's all there for you.
And the bottom line, we're in good shape.
Yes.
Doug Fliegel.
Dan, there is one significant difficulty highlighted. There was a delay. Can you just give a little bit more detail about that?
Can you give me a reference to what you're referring to?
Page 5, it says significant difficulties encountered in performing the audit. There was a significant delay.
Which document are you referencing?
It's on the memo or
yeah, on the letter.
Page 5 of the letter.
The letter to the board?
Yes.
Yeah. Third party, something about a third party capital
5.
asset report.
Yeah.
Right at the top of page 5.
Momentary pause.
Did that?
Oh yeah, our so we part of the audit includes capital asset tracking. It's a GASB 34 rule that we follow, and we had to do a lot of back and forth with our provider to clean up some information and to clarify things. So that took us a lot longer than we would have anticipated. So that's what that is.
So the reconciliation of the actual spent versus what was shared?
Yes, and making sure like the prior year ending amount matched the current year beginning amount, and then all of our additions were properly accurately there and match our ledger, and our deletions that were there that were disposed of that matches as well. So it's not a terribly useful thing for management reasons, but it is part of our audit, and it's part of being a full accrual system that we include that information. And so those need to be technically correct. And so that took a lot of our time to make sure that we had the right numbers there.
Is it correct for the coming year, or are there still changes that need to be made to the process?
Nope, we're all correct.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Any other questions, comments?
Pause for discussion.
So we need a motion to approve the FY25 audited financial reports as presented. Did we get a motion?
Deshmukh, so moved.
Legal second.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments? Roll call, please, Carol.
Batson.
Aye.
Deschmok.
Aye.
Fliegel.
Aye.
Cotwall.
Aye.
Poland.
Aye.
Simpson.
Aye.
Austin.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes. We have some informational items, FY26 mid-year financial review. Mr. Saley, you want to provide any additional information, or is this just for us to read?
Yeah, really for you to see how the mid-year is tracking, because that's an important gauge for to set the stage for what the future is going to look like as well. So in a nutshell, our fiscal year budget has had a budgeted operating surplus of 1.5. It's trending closer to 3.6 million. On the revenue side, that's because of interest income is trending a lot higher than what we anticipated, basically because rates have sustained higher than we would have guessed. And so they started coming down. It's just a question of how much more will they come down, how fast. That's pretty difficult to predict. And on the expenditure side, just some salaries, things with unfilled positions, insurance trending a bit under, and our tuition trend for outplaced students continues to trend under budget. We'll see if it actually works out that way, but that's at least where the fiscal year is trending.
Okay. Any questions from the board?
Pause for questions.
Okay, 5-year financial projections.
All right.
Dan Stanley.
So I'm going to walk through this. There is a written report that has a lot of information in it. This is meant to really touch on the highlights and some of the key things. I felt it was important to take a minute and walk through this because these are significant points to understand, especially for the long-term health of the district. So we're going to talk through some trends. We're going to talk through what are the assumptions in there. We're going to talk about the projections themselves. We'll talk about our fund balances, talk about capital planning, and some recommendations following this. So here we go. The first step is before you can really look forward, you got to look back and see what happened. So we have information of this is our last 5 fiscal years and what those have been like. There's notes in for each year that explains kind of what each of those numbers came from. Really last year, the story for that of 3.1 million is largely interest income, a lot higher than we anticipated. Plus the way these are reported on the financial statements is fair market value in the financial statements, which is very different than the cash you actually receive. So, and that's pretty much impossible to be able to predict what the fair market value will be of those, but that's at least the story there, and there's more history in the report. But that's where our last 5 years have been.
Dan, could you just real quickly remind the board the 2 deficit years? It's not really deficit in operating. That was resulting from construction.
So I do have it in the report, but essentially FY22 was when we changed our that's when we changed our recognition of spring property taxes and deferring them. So because that was the first year we did it, it looked like we didn't get property taxes in there. So it's a weird timing thing. So that was a one time that I wouldn't say it was a true deficit that year. It was really an accounting change that year. But the second year was a true deficit, but that was intentional. So that was a year that we were experiencing significantly high inflation, and we ended up providing to staff a 2% cost of living payment, like 2% of their base, to try to help mitigate some of the impacts of inflation. And so that we did intentionally, and that was about $1 million. So
that wasn't originally budgeted, but
I mean, I can't remember if we budgeted that year or not, but the idea of what happened that fiscal year, that we intentionally knew that we were going to pay down some fund balance in order to try to make this payment to help offset try to offset the impact of the really high inflation.
Yeah, and thanks for the reminder on FY22. If any of the board members wants to understand what happened that year. It was interesting, and I'm glad Dan led us through that process, but really in an effort to the funding that we get to start off the school year actually comes just before July 1. So it's always recognized in the prior year, when in reality, it's all the money that we need to run the district in the following year. So it's a matter of adjusting and recognizing that income in the proper year. So we had to bite the bullet at some point in time. So while it looks like we were at that level of deficit, it was really just that accounting. So if you ever want to hear all about that story, I'm sure Dan will be happy to fill you in on that. So thanks for the reminder on that.
Yeah. Another way I like to say it is like, think of yourself personally. Say you get paid the last day of the month. Do you really have that money available, or is your mortgage due the first of the next month, like a few days later? That's really what we're talking about. We're basically saying that money is really for the following year.
Pause for slide change.
So that's our past. The next one is enrollment projections. And so what we have here is there's also an enrollment projection report that has a lot of information there too. The takeaway here is that our enrollment projection over the next 5 years is stable. So don't read what this chart doesn't. Look at the y-axis. It doesn't go to zero. It zooms in so that if I put it to zero, the lines would just kind of be there. You wouldn't be able to tell the difference. And so the green is showing really over the next 5 years, relatively stable. It'll go down a little bit over probably the next 2 years, but it'll recover after that. And so you see we've had decrease in enrollment. But the other thing that I'm recommending is that it would be a good time to update our enrollment projections with a demographer that comes in and does a more comprehensive analysis than what we would be able to do internally. The last time we did it was 5 years ago. And remember what the world was like 5 years ago. A lot of things have changed, and this is very, very prudent to get an updated from that to get that. So that's absolutely a recommendation I would have us consider. So that's our enrollment projections. Now on to revenues. The vast majority, 89% of our revenue come from local property taxes. That is very, very significant for our district. And what that means is, the way the math works is whatever our assumption for CPI is, has the by far greatest impact on our revenue projections. So that is the key figure to understand what is in that projection. Let me hit some highlights on revenue assumptions. So the property taxes is using the CPI that we know of for next year, which is 2.9, and then 2.7 for the following years. Those are two numbers we know. So we know what CPI is for the next 2 years. That's the assumption built in there. Beyond that, I'm assuming 2.8, and that is a little higher than we normally would project, but the last few years have been higher, and it's just a question of how long will that sustain. I don't know, but the trend information would point to that. But regardless, even if it was tweaked a little bit, that really would only affect projections 4 or 5 years from now. So that's something that really affects further down in the future. But that's a significant assumption in our calculations. CPPRT, which is a revenue that has been pretty volatile, that's I think going to kind of stabilize at 1.3 million. Interest income, I'm going to project us at 2.7, and then assuming that it slowly decreases. And that's really because I can't assume that our sustained interest income is going to stay there, and then assume that we're going to have that, because it can be extremely volatile and it could change really quickly. And then state funding has been flat. Transportation continues to be prorated from the state, and that's very frustrating when the state tells you this is how much they owe you for transportation, and then they don't give you what they owe you. So that's something that we're assuming, and that's a difficult thing to navigate through too.
Pause for slide change.
On the expenditure side, what I want to note here is 71% of our expenditures are the staff that are here. So the vast majority of what we spend our money on is the staff that we have. So the two most important assumptions are how much staff are we going to have, and what is that pay going to be? Those are the two key figures for that. So when we look, staffing is flat. So these projections assume the same level of staffing over the next 5 years. And this is something that I usually do intentionally because the basic idea of these projections is status quo. If we keep doing the same thing we're doing, what happens? And that's the base. That's what our starting point. And then we can tweak any assumption after that. Like what happens if you add 3 people? What happens if you don't? Like you can add and tweak any of these, but there, you have to start with a base, and these are the assumptions built into the base. Raises, they will average between 3% and 4.23 is in the projections. There's more information there, kind of depending on which group it is, what tier they might be in, a lot of different things that can cause that fluctuation. And then medical insurance is very significant because we have structural changes that will take place for the rest of our staff next year. That already happened this year for our ESP staff. And so that has having a significant impact. There's more information in the report about that.
Then I have a question on that. So,
Yeah.
on medical insurance specifically, obviously there's a lot of things that are changing at the national level with providers and stuff. So are we trying to, in some form, account for an unreasonable increase in insurance rates because of things happening at national levels that can have an impact on us?
Can I say the question back? Are you asking, are we trying to address
So the medical insurance, like from what I hear, that those costs are going up dramatically, and one of the reasons is the insurance companies are charging a lot more. And are we accounting for any possible unplanned increase that may come out from those insurers, if I may say?
Yeah. So to the first part, yes, the structural changes we're trying to adjust because we have, and there's more information in the report, we've had significant increases in health insurance costs for our district, no different than every other district. They've all experiencing the same thing. So I've been saying for at least 3 years that it's a problem that we need to address structurally. Otherwise, we're gonna have a big problem. And so what I'm saying is we have been able to do those structural changes to do that. In terms of what else is coming, the way I would phrase it is that the cost of the services is increasing. And there's a lot of reasons for that, not just, the hospital staff gets paid more, but technology is advanced and those cost money. So it's really trying to look at it. It's more probably a local trend than necessarily a national trend when it's based on that. But beyond that, the projections are still showing a pretty steep increase. But right now, I would say that it's higher than I would want it to be, but I think the trend for that is relatively manageable.
Okay, that's all.
Yep.
Dan Stanley.
So those are key assumptions on the expenditure side. For the other stuff, like the rest of our other funds, 2.2 to 3% range in the education fund. Our operating maintenance fund is 4.1, and that's largely energy costs and just the cost of maintaining the buildings. As our buildings age, there's more care that we need for the buildings. And then transportation is fund next year is 9.7, which is large, and then projecting 5% off after that. This is our next biggest problem. Transportation has been increasing at a trend of 9% a year, and that is not sustainable. That is something that we need to look at and try to slow that increase down. And so that's a key area that we need to focus on next. And it makes it a little more difficult when also the state doesn't reimburse you what you're supposed to get anyways. So that's a particular area of focus for us. So now the projections. So this is what the projections are for the next 5 years. What I would say is when you're looking at projections, I'd say the first 3 years are more reliable than the last 2. This is generally meant to show you the direction you're heading. So meaning, how does that top, if those columns were aligned, what does that line look? Does it look steady? Does it look like it's going up? Does it look like it's going down? That's what you want to pay attention to. And so what this is telling me is that our forecast for the next several years is exactly on where it should be for us to remain stable financially. We are very strong financially, and these projections show us that is our trend for the next several years. The 5th year out, you can see it kind of starts going down. There's a lot of things that can change in 5 years. I'm not really concerned about that. We'll review this again next year to see, like, is that still happening, or did something change? Like one small tweak this year can have a big impact 5 years from now. So I'm not really concerned about that at this point, but that is where the data is trending. And really at that point, it's about, can your revenues keep pace with expenditures? And that's really what it is. And so slowly over time, this would say that's where you're getting off, but I'm not concerned with that right now. This is a very strong projection for the future. Now, this is very different than what our picture looked like last year. And that is mostly because of the insurance changes that we have done. And that will take effect for all of our staff for next year. That has started to take place for our ESP staff this year. Tweaks in insurance. And so this is showing the magnitude of small changes in insurance can have a large impact over 5 years. And so we're talking in the report, I can't remember off the top of my head, but it's like $1 million different in terms of 5 years out than what it was projected before. And so that's exactly what I've been talking about for years that we need to do to make that change. Another thing that is there is incorporating more interest income than what we've projected in the past, kind of based on our trend history, and then tuition. We had been assuming that our outplaced tuition rates would just keep steadily increasing as they have been. But this year, if you might not remember, but this year our budget was basically flat for tuition, which is amazing because that is a multi-million-dollar line item in our budget. And so that had not been increasing, and it's projected to increase slower really over the next couple of years. So that's a really positive trend in terms of that. So those are the kind of the things that make up that. So we are in a much stronger position than we were projected to be a year ago.
Pause for slide change.
The next thing is about our fund balance. So that's the money you have at the end of the year. There's a little chart here that goes over the last 20 years. And so let me talk you a quick story. Back in 1998, you see the line of our fund balance going down. And so this is the dollars going down. That's because Vernon Hills was built. And so the cash to pay for that went down. And then in 2001, there was a referendum that increased the taxes. And also there was a lot of growth in the district, a lot of businesses developing and new properties coming in. This place really grew over that period of time. And the fund balance grew significantly over that time from, probably call it 35 million up to 130 million-ish. And then starting in 2014, the district intentionally started investing in capital. And so that's where a lot of the big projects that have happened over the last several years have come. So some of you may remember the Libertyville pool getting built, the additions that we did here, the West Gym, the expansion of the classroom, the cafeteria work, the pool renovation at Libertyville, the field house renovation at Libertyville, all those things. That's paying cash for those things rather than borrowing money and then paying interest on that money. We were able to pay down using cash. And then in 2022, there's a little box there because that's when we changed our recognition of property tax deferrals. So basically saying there's call it 35 million that is really for next year. And so it kind of dropped that. That's not like we just spent it and it's gone. It's more of an accounting change. And then you can see the last couple of years, it's grown a little bit. And so I would say at this point, we're right around roughly 36 million of fund balance as of the end of last fiscal year. So just to give you a sense of the story of our fund balance and kind of where we're at right now. And then in terms of where we will be, this chart has two things. The first top is the fund balance percentage. So what that is, that's a measure of financial health. And basically what that means is how much money do you have relative to your expenditures? And our policy sets a target, a minimum threshold of 25%. And the way I like to explain that is think of personal finances, right? What is a healthy personal financial goal to have 3 months of living expenses in the bank? That's what that means. 25% is 3 months out of the year. That's basically what that means. And that's the board policy that was set and created several years ago that we've been living in now. Another part of the reason for that is because ISB, if you have less than 25%, you will not get the strongest financial score. So you don't get penalized for having less than 25% by ISB or anything, but you will not have the strongest score if you have less than that. And so what you're seeing is that percentage not going down. So the something bad would be that percentage going down and trending to keep decreasing, which is what it had been trending for the last several years. That was the projection. This shows stability. So even though you see those surpluses in those years, we actually have to have surpluses each year because if your expenditures grow, then the amount of savings you need to have has to also grow in order to keep up with it. So that's the basic concept here. So this is showing a very stable trend on fund balances. So that is excellent in terms of our projections. The next part that's not so excellent, though, is our long-term capital. So there is another report, sorry, lots of reports this time, in there that gives a lot of detail on our long-term capital plan. There's a 5-year projection for capital that's included in there. And that really addresses repair and maintenance in our system. So that's replacing roofs, replacing HVAC stuff, a lot of the kind of stuff we saw tonight. It's doing more of that for the next 5 years. The problem is we will not have 11 million, not 10 or 11 million dollars to be able to do all of those. My assumption is that probably around 6 million is what we'll be able to do. So we have a gap. We will not be able to do the things that are projected. And that does not include any like renovations just because we want to make something better. So like we've talked before about renovating bathrooms at Libertyville or renovating science labs. Those are just 2 examples. This does not include any of that because we're talking about roofs and HVAC systems and like core things that aren't necessarily that exciting, but are extremely important to have in our system. And so we won't be able to do it all. So either we have to be able to get more funding to be able to do it, or we're going to have to prioritize what we have and do the best with what we have. But that is not a good long-term solution because eventually you will need to do the work. And it's what some people, a term you might hear is called deferred maintenance. I'm going to defer this maintenance work that needs to happen. If you do that long enough, you end up with a very big problem because eventually it will build up over time and it will be a very significant thing. We are not there, but we are starting to head down a path that is moving closer to that. So that is just a real reality for our district that we need to make sure that we know about that. So capital is an important thing. So finally, not that one, this one. So finally, I have really 3 recommendations in terms of our financial sustainability. What we have been very careful of, which is good, is careful about adding new recurring costs. There's a difference between paying for something once versus paying for something every single year. That is a lot more expensive. And so being cautious of when and being very intentional and careful about doing that. And we need to address transportation cost growth. That is unsustainable and is causing a lot of difficulties in our systems on really practical levels, but also at a system-wide level, it's not sustainable at all.
Dan, if I may interrupt.
Yeah.
When we talk about the transportation, you highlighted the percentages. Can you just clarify in terms of dollar amounts? Like what is the 5% represent and what would 10% represent? Just curious about, since those are substantial costs.
It is. So it's a great question, but hold on. I don't have these in my head exactly. So when you're talking about transportation, we spend roughly $5 million
at the 5% rate.
Yes, but next year would be a significantly higher increase overall. But then after that, I'm projecting 5%, which is still very difficult to do. So
yeah,
that's like the dollar amount you're talking about, which that dollar amount isn't necessarily very significant on $100 million, but it's an area that is growing extremely fast. And that's a concern that I have in terms of how that's trending for sure.
It's growing faster than others. So that while it's 5% now,
it's growing much faster than others. Yes.
5% of the budget now, it'll gain on
that. So that's on the financial.
Dan, maybe a dumb question. How do we plan to address it?
That's a great question.
Good question.
So far, I've done really, really careful work to say that we need to look at it.
Momentary pause.
And we will get back to you. I don't have the answer right now. I'm trying to put a spotlight on the areas. So I could talk to you about ideas, but I don't want to be presumptuous about potential solutions.
And Dan, I have a question about the transportation. have you broken down the growth into the different drivers, like the contract versus athletics versus special education, to see where, or I guess what portion of any of it is possibly controllable?
I have generic information, but I have not done the kind of analysis to say like, this is exactly where it is, and this is the thing we need to do to resolve it. I don't have that, but you're right. Like athletics is a big thing. Our contract, it is, I would say right now it's all of it, to be honest. It's our contract. It's the trend of athletics and the cost of that, like the cost of those going up, not necessarily because like we're taking a bunch more trips everywhere. I think it's really just the cost of those services increasing significantly. And there's a lot of reasons for increased cost of transportation, you know, so I get that, like bus driver shortages and trying to pay more to attract them. I get all that, and that the effect of that is increased cost to us. And so that's kind of what goes into it. But we need to do a deeper dive in terms of getting more specific on data and what potential solutions might be.
Momentary pause.
So that's that one. The second one is enrollment projections that we should run another update with our demographer. Last time we did this with our feeder schools, and I know our feeders are looking at this too. And that's definitely something I think we should try to look at together. That is a key thing I think we should look at. And the last one is the capital planning and in terms of paying for that. So one of the things that we have, so the plan that we have right now is called a system level plan. Basically what that means is we have a provision for roofing, and then we project out the roofs that need to get replaced and the dollars amount associated with that. So, but it's each system listed, roofing, HVAC, things like that. What I think would be more helpful for us is to have a component level system. So rather than just say roofing and then place out when they're getting replaced, what ones we're replacing and how much, every single roof is listed, and the age of each roof and the condition of each roof and the timing of each roof listed specifically. That's not something we have right now. We have it more globally as a system. That's what I think we need for that. And in order to get that, what we need is something called a facility condition assessment, FCA, that we, to my knowledge, have never done here, at least never done in my time here. And that's where you have somebody come in and evaluate all of your systems and help you get that data into a system so that you can utilize that system to build your projections and to track things. So for example, it could give you data on, you know, you keep replacing this one unit. Mathematically, it's actually better if you keep putting money into repairing this unit. Actually, it'd be better if you just replace that unit. It'll give you data like that, which I think would be really, really helpful for us. So that's a facility condition assessment. And then having a system that will help us track that. Because right now we're in basically spreadsheets for this, which works fine, worked for us for many years, works for a lot of school districts, but I would like something more robust. I think that will help us get a better, clear, very specific vision for the items that we have out there. So that's really what those recommendations are in terms of capital and facilities. And then the long-term funding strategies of we're going to have needs, and those are going to continue to be there. And so at some point we're going to need to do them because these are, as you've seen in terms of capital assets and some of the questions about that, like these buildings are significant resources that we have, and they're significant assets, and we need to take care of them. And that's an honor that we have, and it's a responsibility that we have to steward these resources. So so that is the nutshell of the information that I have for you. There's reports there that are there, but that's where we're at. So our outlook is great, but we have got a few things that we need to look at too.
Dan, what does it do to the financial picture if Melody Farms TIF is paid off early? I mean, because I know the the residential would be, the higher income to the district versus commercial. That doesn't, I don't bring in that much.
I couldn't do it on the fly, but I can calculate what that impact might be. I probably couldn't do it here right now. I don't like to guess without giving you with some type of educated guess. So I can get that information and get with you. I want to make sure I'm giving you something that's real or realistic. So I have access to that information, so I can easily do that and provide that.
And then, I mean, there's been discussion about that potentially being paid off early. Is there, is there a temperature on that? Like of what's realistic?
In terms of the TIF dissolving sooner,
Mhm.
that's a good question.
Dan Stanley.
I have heard at a few public meetings that this is something that the village is looking at, and that there's interest in it. And I've heard that consistently over a period of a couple of years. And so that's probably the best I have. Like nothing is there until the village decides to do something like that. But that's something that I've heard for a few years from the village themselves, in terms of some of those conversations. But it's not, this is not something that, to my knowledge, has been done or is like a for sure thing, anything. And it's not something that I can assume is going to happen at this point.
Right.
But it would certainly present an opportunity for a variety of things.
Yeah, 'cause I'm trying to figure out how many years we're in on that anyway.
I believe that Melody Farms started right before I started here. So it must have been around 2017-ish when it started, which would affect tax year like 2018 or 19. So, and then it runs for 23 years.
Yeah.
So I have access to that information too. I just don't know it off the top of my head, but there's still several years on it, but it's outperformed massively beyond expectations. That is no secret to anybody in the village. And so they're really excited about it.
But it hasn't outperformed nothing for us. So very little.
Yeah. In terms directly, perhaps, I mean, there are arguments that because Melody Farms has developed better, have we then attracted other businesses maybe outside of them that are pretty close that are like, oh man, this is really nice. So we'll go. And so maybe in Melody Farms itself, maybe not, but kitty corner across, maybe we've attracted more. Like, I think there's some more to that might be there. I think that's hard to measure. But I don't think I wouldn't say it's quite as simple as it hasn't benefited us. I would say it not to the extent that is as if it did not exist, you know. And I think if whatever it does expire, if it's sooner or when it does, I think all of the systems will be better off because of it, because we were not getting much revenue from it before. It was very, very minuscule. So,
Doug Flegel.
Dan, I really like the idea of a facilities assessment for each campus. I think at this stage of where we're at, it's critical for the future of both high schools.
Rahul Deshmukh.
If I may add to that, even a preventive maintenance type of an not spreadsheet, whatever system you have may also be something worth considering, so that you can ensure that we can prolong life of equipment or facilities in a good way by taking care of it in advance.
Yeah, we do have the system we have now does have preventative maintenance, like, you know, change your filters. Like, if you don't know, change your filter, homeowners, right? You do that. We do that every month, right? Or whenever it is. We have those things built into our system that our staff performs regularly. So that we definitely have, you know, make sure that the system, a new system that we're looking at, would be all encompassing, and would also have that. And it, you know, good to check that we've got good practices in terms of how that's set up too.
Doug Flegel.
Dan, was the current 5-year plan, was that created internally?
Which one?
The 5-year capital.
Yes.
That was done internally.
Yes.
By our own team.
Jim Batson.
Yeah, I would agree with you, Doug, too, on the facilities assessment. I think even though it costs a little bit of money up front, you're making much better decisions long term and likely saving way more than what you initially spent just to get your buildings really assessed properly. So I would agree with that too. Anyone else?
Momentary pause.
Okay, that's a lot. We're down to board comments and events. I want to make a couple comments here. One is I attended the IdeaCon, which is a EdTech conference held every year for, I think, 30 plus years now, and is well attended by people from all over the state and actually from people outside the state, but I wanted to recognize a few, and these are the ones that I found, so there may be more. But Amanda Carroll and Brandon Waters from Vernon Hills High School, John Taylor and Lisa Davis from Libertyville High School, all gave presentations at this conference to show some of the great things that we're doing in this district. So I want to commend them for the great work that they're doing in sharing that information with others. So it was a good event. We also have, and if anyone wants to chat with me about the COSPA conference, we have the National School Board Conference, that the national organization that our state school board association is affiliated with, coming up next month in Louisville, Kentucky. So there's a handful of us that'll be attending that. That's always a good conference, and so looking forward to that. Anyone else have comments, events?
I just wanted to add something about the D128. I should have done it after Dr. Schaefer presented his report. Just a couple of things, some changes that will happen. Going forward, it has been decided that D128 will provide a quarterly foundation. Sorry, D128 Foundation will provide a quarterly update to the board about the activities. And just as an FYI, for especially the teachers and the educators, the Daring Innovation Grant applications are open until April 1. So whatever grants have to be funded will be through that channel. And also for the students, the LHS scholarship applications are being reviewed currently, and the VHSs will be reviewed as well in the coming weeks. So students at LHS and VHS would know some additional financial support that may come their way, merit-based, need-based, and so on.
Jim Batson.
Thank you, and I appreciate the updates from the foundation. That's good information for us to have. Anybody else have any comments or anything? Any events coming up? IASB report, I guess that was part of the talking about the COSPA conference, and that's what I have for that now. And there's no CEDAW, so we're going to move on to you can see the future agenda items there on the on the agenda.
Mark Schaefer.
Yeah.
I can, one of the items that's missing on future agenda items that we will bring forward in March is a discussion on PE waivers, and I know the board had wanted that, so please be expecting that in March.
Okay, good to know. Okay, okay, so we do have an executive session that we're going to move into. We'll convene in closed session to discuss the placement of individual students, special education program, and other matters relating to individual students, 5 ILCS 120/2C 10. Litigation when action against, affecting, or on behalf of the school board has been filed or is pending before a court or administrative tribunal, or when the school finds that its action is probable or imminent. Say that real quick. In which case the basis for finding shall be recorded and entered into the minutes of the closed meeting, 5 ILCS 120/2C11, and employment of employees, 5 ILCS 120/2C1. I need a motion to convene in closed session.
Poland, so moved.
Ishmael, second.
Okay. And just a note, there will be no action after this, so we'll just come out and close the meeting out when we're done with the closed session. So, can we have a roll call, please, Carol?
Dishmuck,
Aye.
Legal,
Aye.
Cotwall,
Aye.
Poland,
Aye.
Simpson,
Aye.
Austin, Batson.
Aye. Okay, thank you very much.
Text on the screen says, "The board is in closed session. Fade to black. End of meeting."